And we're back here on XPN Local. My name's John Vettese, and for this portion of the show, we've got some guests joining us. We've got Judah Kim, we've got John Faye, and we've got Alyssa Garcia here to talk about the Asian American Pie Show. It is a festival happening at World Cafe Live on Saturday, May 11th for AAPI Month, and it is celebrating Asian American artists in the Philadelphia music scene. And we've got three of the artists here today to talk about the festival and to play some music for us. So welcome to the show, y'all.
Thanks so much for having us, John.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, John.
So, Judah, you emailed me about a couple weeks ago talking about the festival, and you sent me this essay you wrote. It's called Why an All Asian American Rock Show is Important, and it talks about how you, being the son of North Korean immigrants, kind of your perspective on being a musician and this festival in particular. Can you share some about that?
Sure. It's really important, I think, for Asian Americans because, in my experience, Asian American musicians, at least mine and everyone that I meet, which is rare, we sort of operate like islands, meaning that like, okay, oh wow, you're Asian too, and it's just hard to kind of like meet and build a community, and that's kind of the point of this show. Is sort of like a rallying cry. Because we're so used to, there's a lot in that essay, I will say, and if I were to just maybe condense it down into a few sentences here, or just to kind of maybe say generally what I hope to get across from this is that Asians are kind of stuck in a definitely in one way of living, and that's sort of self-imposed, and our perception of ourselves and the perception of the world is not musicians or creatives necessarily, but it's very strange to me because the people in my life, like my family and everyone, is that's our identity, and everything about us is so music and art driven, and we want to show that to the world, and we want to say, hey, if you're out there, like, please join us and let's build a community together.
Yeah. John, I know that you were kind of a co-organizing force for this festival with Judah. What was when the idea came up? What was your thought on it?
Well, I think that because I've been around a little longer than these guys, and it was just my personal experience. When I was sort of in my late 20s, when my band The Caulfields was signed back in the 90s. I was literally one of maybe two other like Asian American front people that were out there on like the national stage, and it was a feeling that was really isolating in a lot of ways. When you know that you're the only Asian person on a bill or even in a room. As Judah said, you do feel a bit like an island, and it took me a really long time to want to lean into the idea of forming community. And I don't know, I can't speak for these guys, but I think that as an Asian person, especially someone who's trying to do something that you don't see yourself represented in the culture, you try to present a little more toward what's already out there rather than being this sort of sore thumb that sticks out. And I think that the more experience I get and the older I get, the more I'm very, very interested in leaning into my Asianness because, as far as my knowledge is, there's not been a show like this in Philadelphia up to this point, as far as I know.
Right. Alyssa, when you heard about this show, what was your reaction?
I was so excited, especially being on a bill with John and Judah and names that I've heard. And for the first time, seeing an entirely Asian bill was insane to me because I couldn't tell you the last time I've played a show with like two Asian artists on it, more than one. Mm-hmm. So to finally be like the majority was like a life-changing, almost kind of bill for me. Like John said, like Judah said, like I grew up with this idea that, and the stereotype that like Asians are meant to be in like the science fields, or like I was supposed to grow up to be a nurse, something like my grandma taught me. But choosing music and actively choosing music as a woman of color in the music industry has been super difficult, but it's shows like this that just normalize Asians being in the rock scene, Asians being in the music scene in general, which I think is so important. So I'm really excited to play the show.
Amazing. Asian American Pie is happening on May 11th. It's Saturday. It's the lounge at World Cafe Live. It is Judah Kim, John Faye, Alyssa Garcia, as well as Moonroof and Beau Frere. And you can get details and information about that at xpn.org. Since we've got all these artists in the room, why don't we hear some music from each of you? Judah, do you want to get us started? So what's the song you're going to play, Judah?
The song's called Fate. And it's about, I always have trouble describing this song, but I suppose it's about the yin and yang of life. The good times, it's a nod to John Faye in his book over there. It's about the good times and the bad times and how possibly they might be connected. It's about the tragedy and the altogether, the mystery and the beauty of life. It's called Fate.
Mind is a palette, and the dawn is a song. Promise, hope, and evidence. Christmas morning and your way back home. A tacit feeling out of the blue that something's wrong. Caught off guard, regret turns on. Shown too bright, a shadow drags you down. Well, it finally happened in a way I can't believe. And it don't add up, no, I can't make no sense of what this is, or why this is our fate. I'd fall apart when these days came. The peace I needed all along, that steers me to a quiet place called home. Well, it finally happened in a way I can't believe. It don't add up, no, I can't make no sense of what this is, or why this is our fate. Mind is a palette, and the dawn is a song. Promise, hope, and evidence. Christmas morning and your way back home.
We're here on the XPN Local show, joined by artists who are performing at the Asian American Pie concert festival, which is the appropriate word here.
We're calling it a mini festival.
Mini festival.
Yeah.
It is Saturday, May 11th at World Cafe Live, the lounge stage. We just heard from Judah Kim. We're going to hear from John Faye in a second and Alyssa Garcia in a second. There's two other artists on that bill as well. A great modern rock band called Moonroof, who we've played a bunch on the local show, as well as Beau Frere, who's new to me. Can we talk a bit about the other two artists and I guess what made you want to reach out to them and include them on the festival?
Okay. Well, I'll talk about Moonroof. So I first saw those guys at Underground Arts probably sometime last year, and I had no idea who they were. And of course, as soon as you see like a fellow Asian front person on stage, you're I was immediately like, who is this guy?
Mm-hmm.
And so the lead singer is named Dave Kim, and he just has like an extremely great like stage presence, great energy, and a great voice. And so when Judah and I were talking about like, well, who can we get to play? I was like, we got to reach out to this band because they're just killer. Really, really love them.
Nice.
And he's a great guy too. Like he's, we all of us actually sat down together not too long ago to do like a social media day for promoting the show. And we did like a 30-minute podcast where we all just sat at a table and told our stories. And Dave has an incredible story of how he kind of came into his own, identity and his entrance into music and that kind of thing. So I think every one of the artists on the bill has a very interesting kind of origin story, I guess, is how I would put it.
Nice. And Beau Frere, Judah, do you want to speak about Beau Frere?
Absolutely. So, again, I think our mission for this is to sort of make this a rallying cry. It's like, who else is out there? And when John and I got together, we were scratching our heads a little bit because we were like, John knew Alyssa and Dave, and besides John, I wasn't sure of anyone else that I could think of. And I was thinking long and hard for a while, and I was like, well, my brother's doing this thing, and he's the lead singer of Beau Frere. And their live setup is him on acoustic guitar, and he does looping through his loop station. And he has two lovely women with him to back him up on percussion and back vocals, light percussion like hand claps and tambourine and all that. And they do original music, but they also do really well reimagined cover songs too, like stuff by like James Brown and Radiohead that you wouldn't know until they start singing the lyrics.
Mm-hmm. Like one of those deals where it gets to the chorus and the whole time you're like, these lyrics sound really familiar, and then the chorus hits and you're like, oh my goodness. That was Bulletproof, I think you said, is a song that they do, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
And Alyssa, I know that when you played last year at the Beta Hi-Fi Festival, I remember seeing John in the crowd.
Yeah,
Did
he
you connect
was.
to him through the festival?
So oddly enough, John and I have known each other for a couple of years because John was my songwriting professor at Drexel.
Oh, amazing.
So that's how we met. And he was I think, the only Asian professor that I had at that music industry program. So that was pretty significant as well. Like, so that started like a pretty strong bond because, again, being a minority, it's cool to connect and really hold on to those connections. So I'm really glad John brought me on. But yeah, even that actually the same band that played for the Beta Hi-Fi show, all Asian American as well, are playing for this show too. So I think that's pretty fun too.
Amazing.
Yeah.
John, do you want to go next in the song round here?
Oh, sure. Yes.
Amazing.
10 million miles from home. It's been a light year since I've been gone. My ears ring on and on, but I can still hear ground control to Major Tom singing, whoa, whoa, whoa. blanket of your stars, wherever you are. It's too hot on Mercury, I just wanna settle down on Mars and play my guitar. In your orbit, can't ignore it, running circles around my head. It's not morbid, I'll just orbit, keep on spinning till I'm dead, singing whoa. In your orbit, can't ignore it, running circles around my head. It's not morbid, I'll just orbit, keep on spinning till I'm dead, singing whoa. Whoa. In your orbit, can't ignore it, running circles around my head. It's not morbid, I'll just orbit, keep on spinning till I'm dead, singing whoa.
John Faye, that was an awesome performance of Orbit here in WXPN Studios on the XPN Local show. We are talking with three of the artists who are performing at the Asian American Pie Mini Festival happening Saturday, May 11th at the Lounge at World Cafe Live. John Faye, Judah Kim, Alyssa Garcia, and it's an all Asian American artist festival for AAPI Month. And we were chatting earlier that there's a component of it as well, Judah, that you're kind of organizing around flash drives for freedom. Can you talk about that and how that fits into the festival?
Absolutely. I think North Korea is occupied under a terrible communist regime, and it pains me and breaks my heart to think how much art and music is deprived from the world because of that. My father's father was a musician, a great musician, a singer and a drummer, and it again just breaks my heart to know what's held back from the world because of the Kim dynasty. So Flash Drives for Freedom is this organization that loads USB sticks, hard drives, and they smuggle them into North Korea, and they give them to people, and they're loaded with information about the outside world so that they can hopefully discover for themselves how terrible the situation is, because revolutions kind of happen by people motivating, that are self-motivated to do it themselves. So when they see the outside world, it'll inspire them to say, hey, wait, something's wrong here. We need to do something about it.
So a portion of the proceeds from the Asian American Pie Festival are going to Flash Drives for Freedom, and you can find out more about that at the organization's website, flashdrivesforfreedom.org, I think you said is what it was. Next up in the music round, Alyssa Garcia going to do a song on piano. What song are you going to do?
The song is called It'll End With You.
Okay.
I actually wrote this as a series of songs for a senior project that I completed after I graduated Drexel. And Drexel was really important to me because it was the first time I was exposed to an Asian community, pretty much, because I grew up in a majorly white grade school and high school. So to finally learn about my culture and embrace it and just come to terms with what it means to be Asian American, it was kind of a culmination of that. And this song was particularly important because it talks about a personal story of generational trauma, but also generational healing. I think a lot of younger generations of Asian Americans are realizing that there are traditions that can be respected and followed, or that can be challenged, and times change, with like anything. So this is a song about that. This is It'll End With You.
I am my mother's daughter, her blood flows through my veins. But who am I if not the living proof that times have changed? I am my sister's keeper, I'd give my life for them. But what life is worth living if I'm always close to death? Didn't start with you, but it'll end with you. No, it didn't start with you, but it'll end with you. I'm haunted by the ghost of oppression's past. Taught not to get too comfortable, taught nothing good can last. I wake up and feel guilty, I sleep and feel the same. They tell me my resistance is the only thing to blame. Oh, it didn't start with you, but it'll end with you. No, it didn't start with you, but it'll end with you. I spent a lifetime searching for their misguided truth, until I learned that letting go is something that you choose. So I hope you find forgiveness, I hope you share the fruit. No, it didn't start with you, but it'll end with you.
It's an awesome performance of It'll End With You by Alyssa Garcia here in WXPN Studios for the XPN Local show. We've had a suite of guests from the Asian American Pie show, mini festival, if you will, happening at World Cafe Live, the lounge stage at World Cafe Live on Saturday, May 11th. We got Judah Kim, John Faye, Alyssa Garcia. Moonroof is also playing, as is Beau Frere. More information at the concert calendar at xpn.org. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the show tonight.
John, thank you so much for having us. It means a lot.
Yeah,
It really does.
No
Thank you.
worries.
Thanks so much, John.
Do you have, before you get out of here, do you want to plug your socials, information, more other places people can go for more information on the event and on your music?
Sorry, it's JudahKimMusic.com, JudahKim music.com, and I'm on socials at Judah Kim Music.
You can find me at my website, johnfaye.com, JOHNFAYE.com, and I also have an Instagram, which is at John Kim Faye.
You can find me mostly on Instagram at Alyssa G. Garcia. That's ALYSSAGGARCIA, 2 G's. And then TikTok and other socials at Alyssa Garcia Music.
Amazing. Thanks again for joining us tonight on the show. And once again, Saturday, May 11th, and World Cafe Live, xpn.org for more info.